We could be completely broke and I've got to go look for another job, or I'll be completely busy and you'll lose me as a husband. But that led to different challenges.
Yeah,
that led to my mental health challenges. I was becoming an alcoholic as well. It's like I had to get myself a mental health coach. What I found with the construction industry is very emotionally driven. Arguments with engineers to contracts, project management companies, with designers. It's just fucking tensions running high all the time. And a lot of emotional decisions get made. Let's get to data-driven decisions. Without data, you're just a person with an opinion. The decisions you make are multi-million dollar decisions. Come back to who does what, where, when, how much of it. Yes. I just wanted to communicate that to people to make good decisions at any given point in time of the project. In New Zealand, indecision is the most common decision that's actually made. The biggest problem I'm trying to solve there is connected information. Understanding good interconnected data and how that can be used downstream. I think that's the real value proposition for an engineer. And I don't think a lot of engineers are thinking about that. You and I, as taxpayers, have taken liability for the entire leaky home scenario. We need to find a way to become more efficient. Every project runs over time. Every project runs over budget. That's where I'm waging my war against. We can do better with better information, connected information, working collaboratively. Half the people are fucked off to Australia. Why? Because I don't have certainty of work here. Where's New Zealand's vision? We don't fucking have one. Look at myself in the mirror and I say, fuck, I'm the best human being on fucking planet Earth and I'm ready for fucking war. Let's go.
Welcome to the Melding Muse podcast. Melding art and design, entrepreneurship, music, fashion, film, sports, gaming, and whatever's in between. We exist to showcase extraordinary people to inspire the next generation of creatives and leaders. My guest today is Andy Alagappan, husband, engineer and director of a strategic planning company. We talked about the construction industry, the power of data, how to efficiently manage and deliver complex megastructures and projects, and a lot more. If you're an engineer, builder, technology enthusiast, or simply curious about the ins and outs of this industry, this episode is for you. Annamalai Alagappan, welcome to Melding Muse podcast. How are you doing, my bro?
Wonderful, thanks, bro. Thank you for having me.
How was that? It was a good pronunciation of your name?
Really good, really good.
Thank you.
Like, it's better than most of people who pronounce my full name.
There you go. I had to give it a crack. Also known as Andy from Jans with Andy. That's how I discovered you.
Yeah.
If you are into the construction business, into the strategic business, follow this man's podcast. He's amazing. And that's one of the reasons why today's podcast is very interesting for me. And I'm very excited about it. It's because it's perhaps the first podcast where I'm completely illiterate about the topic.
Cool.
And I'm just willing to learn about it because I'm curious about different topics. And this is one of those things that I'm like, maybe let's just talk to this guy about all these curious things that are going through my mind. And before we started, we were actually just talking to it and I stopped you. I was like, wait, we have to talk about it when we go live because it's too much to unpack there. So first of all, thank you for coming through, mate. I appreciate it.
No, man, I really do appreciate you having me. Thank you for having me.
No, it's all good, man. Thank you for coming through. For people who are listening to this who have no idea what we're talking about, because my last podcast was for a comedian, for example, they might be coming through this one going, who's this dude? So let's tackle that head on. Andy, give us a walkthrough, first of all, your career.
Yep.
So how you started, as quickly as you can.
Yep,
how you started, and then what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And then we can go from there.
Cool. I'm an engineer. I did my engineering in Dubai. I worked towards becoming a race engineer in Formula One. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the GFC in 2008 killed that dream.
Yeah.
So I got hired by an oil and gas company to become what they call a project controls professional, right? I thought, you know what, my Formula One career is dead. And well, it's true. It was dead.
What if Red Bull tried to hire you?
Fuck no. Nope. We ain't talking about Red Bull. Talking about Red Bull, I'm leaving.
Let me show that to the camera. 44 for life right here.
44 for life.
44 time, Hamilton right there.
Yep.
Formula One fan right there. Okay. Sorry to divert.
Yeah. So I took on a job as a project control professional. As in what that actually means is we write methodologies for large scale complex megastructures. Yeah. So say you want to build a building.
Yeah.
We look at all the plans, the structural architectural services, and we figure out exactly who's going to do what, where, when, and how much of it.
Okay.
That's really simplistically put about my job, right?
Yes.
But then from a career, that's where it started in oil and gas, right? And I quickly figured out what I would be doing as a race engineer in Formula One to what I am doing for either an oil and gas company or construction company is not very different. As a race engineer, I'd be managing change in seconds and milliseconds.
Yeah.
Now I manage change in days. So it's not very different.
Right, I see.
There's a lot of correlations between what I really wanted to do and what I'm actually currently doing. Since like that's where all the passion for my work comes from, and it's almost natural for me. Like my job comes naturally to me.
Nice.
I don't try really hard. It's like, I've been given a problem, work out a solution quite quickly. But yeah, so I worked in Dubai for a year. Then I moved to New Zealand, carried on with the same profession. I worked in the iron and steel manufacturing factory in Glenbrook for a bit. Then I moved on to like the fiber network. We're probably connected to the fiber network that we led.
yeah, that's right.
Now. Yeah, so did that for about 4 years. Then I worked for multiple other companies, and I ended up in construction. And in construction was where my career kind of took off. I was the lead planner in Commercial Bay, Auckland International Airport. The new arrivals holiday you go through. The new duty free.
I have some friends that work from that as an engineer, as civil engineers for that project.
For Fletcher's?
Not for Fletcher's. I think it's a subdivision. I show you after this, but I have a couple of friends that help with the design of the airport.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I worked on the build of it itself.
Nice.
Which is quite complex. Like the way you described it is, it's like you're trying to rebuild your bathroom while you're trying to have a shower. Say we had to build an 11.5 meter roof.
Right.
Once we built that 11.5 meter roof, we had to demo the existing roof. So we had to create the outer shell structure,
okay, get it.
And then demo the existing structure to create the new airport. But that comes with multiple complexities of dealing with aviation security. Are you airside? Are you airside clean? Are you airside dirty? Are you on land side? Right? Then how do you relocate all the stakeholders out of there to then demo and rebuild the new? Can you run services only up until a point? It's fucking complex. Like, it's fun.
I can only imagine.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun is a very good way to put it. Perhaps that's actually one of the most interesting things that sort of I think I find that overlap between what you're describing and what I do.
Yeah.
Because it's also that problem solving sort of pattern, which is very interesting. Now you're dealing with a scale that is just ridiculous, and it's also the amount of things that are at stake. We're talking billions of dollars at stake, right? So it's a little bit different, and that's why I find what you're doing incredible, and it's just something to really learn in terms of any product designer, anybody who's out there.
Yeah.
Because at its core, like you mentioned, problem solving, and
critical thinking,
and it happens in every minute. It could be changed. I'm pretty sure you probably have a problem to solve every other minute. Somebody comes on, and you have to think on your feet
as long as somebody's paying me for it now.
Yeah, yeah.
So what happened is then I started strategic planning.
Yes, I was going to talk about that. So
let's go.
Strategic planning. Walk us through that.
I work for Fletcher's as a divisional planning manager. Mm-hmm. So I used to look after controls and planning. At the age of 30, I got handed that job.
Yeah.
Man, I was freaking out.
30 years old, wow.
30 years old, I was a divisional planning manager. It's probably the youngest planning manager, or divisional planning manager in Fletcher's.
Damn. Congrats.
Yeah, cheers, man.
That's awesome.
I was looking after planning for Brian Perry Civil, Higgins, like all the 5 construction companies.
I see.
Fletcher Infrastructure, Fletcher B&I, and the South Pacific wing.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot, and I made a lot of connections, and but COVID hit, and I went to my wife and I said, you know what, I think it's time. I want to set up my own company. I told her one or two things could happen. We could be completely broke and I've got to go look for another job, or I'll be completely busy and you'll lose me as a husband.
Right. Is that what you told her? What did she say?
She said, you do what you think is right. I've got your back.
That's amazing.
Yep. And so I went and handed my resignation letter, and I couldn't believe it because I had a 3-month notice period. I served my 3 months notice period. By the time my notice period finished, I had about 6 contracts signed.
Damn.
Crazy, man.
That's good.
Yeah, but that led to different challenges.
Yeah,
that led to my mental health challenges.
Of course, yeah. The amount of pressure that just comes as you when you the person, the amount of things that comes into your shoulders is incredible.
Yeah. So I was working on multiple different jobs. I was working 16-hour days. That was normal for me, to a point where I had to pause. I mean, I was becoming an alcoholic as well.
Oh, really? Is that right?
It was pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. Oh, wow.
So I had some serious, I was going through a lot myself.
Right.
Just because of the amount of pressure, the amount of work I was dealing with, the amount of work I was doing. I was the company's HR, I was the company's admin, I was the company's accountant, I was the company's workhouse. I was everything.
I see.
You know what I mean?
So the delegation part that we just talked about before, that wasn't happening at that point.
Oh, no. When I started the company, man, it was a steep learning curve. Like
Damn.
I didn't fully understand how to file a GST. So,
Right.
I didn't know what dividend withholding tax was.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what does that mean? Like, let's Google it. Like,
So you were doing everything yourself.
when I started, yes. Yeah. Now I have a team of about 6 people, which is great. Which is amazing. I love my team, by the way. But it's been a journey getting there as well, right? It's like I had to get myself a mental health coach. Like Drew Knowles, if you don't know who he is, check him out. He's incredible. He works with some of the leading CEOs. He's amazing at what he does. Like he helped me slow things down.
Right.
So I could become faster.
Yes.
Does that even make sense?
That totally makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So somehow when I say it out loud, it's just so weird.
Yeah, I think when you go through it, you understand.
When you go through it, you understand.
Yeah.
So that happened in my life, and everything changed.
The plan going into strategic planning. So you decide to set up your company. What was your unique value proposition to the market with this company in particular? I have this here, which I loved it because of the simplicity of it. It says, we believe effective project controls are best kept simple.
Yeah.
We focus our efforts on nailing the fundamentals, establishing data structures, enabling processes, communicating effectively.
Yep.
Thereby focusing on what really is important. That sounds so simple.
Very simple.
But just like product design, the simple stuff is the most powerful one. In product design, we talk about aligning, and it's exactly what you're talking about here too. So walk us through that initial value proposition that you wanted to bring with strategic planning.
It's very simple in my head. It's the number of projects I'd been on. And what I found with the construction industry is very emotionally driven.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Why is that?
Emotions run high all the time.
Right.
And a lot of emotional decisions get made. I wanted to change that. I said, let's get to data-driven decisions. Without data, you're just a person with an opinion. You're nothing more.
Yes, we are in the empirical era right now, more than ever.
Yep.
Although I like to think about it as data-informed decisions rather than data-driven decisions. I mean, at least in our side of things.
Yep.
We always look at data as an input, but a lot of the times you have to really make sense of that data. So you have to add a layer.
100%. You need to interpret the data to then.
So that's why it's like data-informed decisions. That's right.
Fair. Okay. That was 4 years ago. It's interesting. But yeah, so it's for me. People always describe my job as being masters of the dark arts.
Okay.
But I'm like, fuck, man, it's not. I draw lines on a piece of paper for a living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On a Gantt chart, and I'm trying to communicate a message.
Yes.
Right. So I just wanted to do it real simplistically. So come back to who does what, where, when, how much for it.
Yes.
I just wanted to communicate that to people to make good decisions at any given point in time of the project.
Right.
I didn't want to do anything else. I want to keep it real simple, crunch everything, tell them, here are your key problems, here are your key risks, here are your key opportunities. Now make a decision.
Right.
Let's move forward. Right. But somehow in New Zealand, indecision is the most common decision that's actually made.
Is that right?
It's very true.
In this industry?
In New Zealand, in construction, yep.
Wow.
Yeah, indecision is a big problem, in my opinion. Again, it's my opinion.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
The decisions you make are multi-million-dollar decisions.
Decisions, like we talked about before. Just there are consequences to any decisions you make, so therefore.
So if you make 2 wrong decisions, you're spending the rest of your project crawling back the 2 wrong decisions that you've made.
Of course.
So the risks are high, the stakes are high. So people don't want to make a wrong decision.
Yes.
So, I'm like, fucking put your balls on the line. Make a fucking decision. Let's move on. Even if it's a wrong decision, live by it. Because indecision is actually costing you more money than you actually realize.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah.
My opinion. Again.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah. Like I've always said it, indecision is the worst decision you can ever make.
It's just creating a framework so that you can make the right decision.
Yep. And even a wrong decision made early, you have enough time to recover.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
So, yeah. So part of that was, as strategic planning. I wanted to take the emotion out of the picture.
Yeah.
Because most construction projects, you go to PCG meetings. When I say PCG, it's project control group meetings.
Yeah.
And client and the contractor, you see mate emotions run high.
Yeah.
Right. And then not many good outcomes come out of it. Let's put it that way.
I see.
I wanted to change that. And I'm still working towards changing it. Right. I mean, there's a lot of other things we're doing, but I'm sure we'll get to talking about that, where I'm actually really confused whether I'm a service-oriented business right now or a tech business,
I see.
I'm stuck in between the two, and I'm actually having a big conundrum of where I want to take strategic planning next.
Where do you see right now that going? Like, where do you see yourself in terms of that particular decision making? Like,
I'll talk a little bit about why. I think background is quite important here.
yeah.
So we're working on a solution where you take a 3D model. You're a graphic designer. I'm sure you'd have come across multiple 3D models. And I taught myself how to code in Python.
Okay.
So we take that 3D model, we strip it into a 2D flat file and a mesh file. Right?
Okay.
And we run Python script to then asset classify, location breakdown, and quantify an entire building in less than a day.
Wow.
We can do that today, now.
And this is how it's done traditionally. Like, how this used to take how long?
4 weeks. Bean count.
Wow.
Somebody will sit and measure on a scale
Yeah.
or on a PDF drawing
Yeah.
and transfer that data into an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Like, see, it comes back to data, right? Okay. The biggest problem I'm trying to solve there is connected information. Connected information is something I'm really passionate about, right? Okay. Traditionally, an estimator would look at a design and measure it and take that information and put it into an Excel spreadsheet. Therein, he's created the first silo of information. The design is now not connected to the estimate.
Yeah,
I'm trying to explain it real simplistically.
Yeah.
I want to keep that information connected for future use. Okay?
So creating a little bit of a bridge there. So that everything.
100%.
I see.
So then your 3D information is connected to your estimate, but it's also connected to what I do as a planner, my program. So my time information, my cost information is connected to my 3D model. You change the 3D model, the cost information changes, the time information changes.
Wow, that's incredible.
Amazing, right?
Yes, that sounds crazy good. Wow, that's cool.
That's the tech solution that we're working on, right? And
Right.
and we're already a partway there where we can create the estimate and we can create the first pass of the program
Yeah,
today.
I see.
So hence my conundrum of do I want to be a service business or do I want to be a contact business? Like, what do I want to be? I don't know.
Make a decision.
Ooh, indecision's the worst decision, isn't it? Bang on, mate. Bang on. But I'll tell you what, I still have 6 mouths to feed. There's 6 mortgages dependent on what we do and every decision I make.
see.
Exactly, come back to the same point in time.
Bro, you gotta put your balls in the line. That's what I
That's it.
That's incredible, bro. I'm gonna probably try not to divert from what I had, but you
No, it's
mentioned something that's very interesting to me, and it's about risk and accountability. And one of the things I've realized, as you know, I don't have, again, like I mentioned, not much experience on this, but I have gone through things like small home renovations, and I have friends that have done the same thing. One thing that blows my mind in the construction industry are 2 things. One, how a piece of work could blow out of proportion in terms of budget. So, for example, this I've never seen anything like this in any other industry. But I have a friend, for example. He was doing this whole project at his house. He got a builder. He was basically extending his house. Quick, simple terms. Then he needed a quote. I want to know how much I need because I need to go into the bank and whatever. Brings a builder. Hey, I want to do this. What do I need to do? The builder goes, okay, cool. Yeah, you need to do this. This will be around this much. When he came down to it, the estimation for one line item, which was like the foundation part, multiplied by 10 from the initial estimation.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
Right? So we're talking, let's say $6,000 turning into 60 grand, which is a fucking huge discrepancy in terms of price. If you came to me and I tell you,
Hey, welcome to my everyday life, man.
yeah, so that's crazy in this industry, right? Like if you to come to me and say that designing me this app, and I go, okay, cool, yeah, that would cost you $100, and then suddenly that went 10 times the price. You're gonna cut my balls, right?
Yep.
So that's one part. I want you to explain to me why that happens. And the second thing,
I can try, but
okay, yeah. Well, you can try. I talked to some of my engineer friends, and they explained to me some things that I didn't know. So let's see what you come up with. And the second part of that is the fact that there's no accountability. So this guy comes in, they give you a quote, and then you go, but wait a minute, you said there was this $6,000. No, well, it's like, we didn't know. And then that's it. It's like,
okay,
and on top of this, unlike any other industry I've come across, they don't give a fuck about customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Why should I?
You know what I mean? Like, Essentially, you bring a builder and they do a shit job, and then
Okay.
and then you and
Mate,
then they
can
go
I-
and then they
can I
go
ask you
like,
a question? Can I
yeah,
ask you a
sure.
question? How often are you going to renovate your house?
Yeah, exactly. You don't do it that often, so they don't care. But here's the thing, though. Surely,
Yeah.
if you do a good job, that this applies for every industry and every job. You try to do a good job so that at the very least, your customer's happy, and then you get more work from him referencing, giving you a referral or whatever. Surely, but in the construction industry, there's so much demand, right, and so low
I
supply.
wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say there's so much demand right now.
Whoa, for the
right
supply-
now it's really bad. But
For the supply, though, like looking historically,
yeah.
for the supply, because you have to compare a demand and supply, right? For the supply, I think it's just so much work out there for builders that they don't really care.
Okay.
If this job falls through, then fuck it.
Let me address your first concern.
Okay, go for it.
I'll try and address your first concern.
Okay.
Okay. I've said this on my podcast as well previously. The amount of time it takes from paper, as in a design, right? You start designing to when you put a spade in the ground. And on most projects in New Zealand, it could be a house that you build. It takes about 14 months.
Okay.
You need to sit and understand why. I've actually written a paper about this as well.
Okay.
You need to sit and actually understand why it takes 14 months. Say it takes about 2 to 3 months for a design, right? Okay, design goes through 4 stages. You go to concept design, develop design, detail design, IFC, right? But the problem in New Zealand, in between all of that, you've got a boatload of paperwork that you've got to process.
Okay.
But that paperwork can creep up anytime. You don't know when that paperwork creeps up, right?
Okay.
Okay, in your instance, say the builder said it's going to cost $6,000 to do foundations, right? And say hypothetically you had to put some services underground where you had to extend a pipe that actually comes from the road, which is your freshwater pipe or your wastewater pipe that you're going to tap into.
Yeah.
Now you need a consent called an EPA. Like you wouldn't know that as a general public.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an engineering plan approval. Okay, paperwork, right? Then you need the council to actually come and verify before you take the next step. So you're standing down your crew, you're doing nothing, you're waiting to book a council inspector to come and actually verify it before he says okay, passes it on, moves on. Right? This paperwork on top of paperwork. It just keeps going forever. Right? I get why the council want to control this, right? Because we don't want a leaky home crisis on our hand again.
Yes.
Okay? Because technically, you and I, as taxpayers, have taken liability for the entire leaky home scenario. Do you realize that?
Yeah. That's true.
Are you willing to take that risk as a taxpayer if things go wrong?
Yeah, I see. So that's why.
Or, wait, the question is, how much is it costing the taxpayer currently for these inefficiencies? What's the greater cost? I don't know. I don't know the answer to this, right? But I know the amount of time being wasted and the amount of cost being passed down to the end user with all of this paperwork that's generated, right? So I said design, right? Let's go back to the start now. I come up with a concept design. You have a piece of land. You want to develop something. You got to get something called resource consent. Forget a building consent. I'm talking before this. You got to get resource consent.
Yeah. And depending on where it is, also could take longer, right?
Much longer, right?
Yeah.
Once you get to resource consent, then you go to the next stage of design, and then now you go through building consents, right?
Yes.
Then building consents are not enough. You may need a retaining wall. Now you need retaining wall consent.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep going.
Wow, right.
I keep going, right?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then after that, you got to apply for your EPAs.
Yes.
Without your EPAs, you can't tap into public services.
Yes.
Okay, and each EPA is different. Whether it's a water care EPA is different. Whether it's a power EPA is different. Like
Yeah,
all
I
of
get
these EPAs, you got to apply for.
But quick question though. You understand this, right? You understand there's all this paperwork involved. There's all this time constraint
Not the
involved.
quantum of this. The quantum of this is insanity, and the timing. Okay, so say I get a building consent, but I don't have an EPA. So what does that mean? Do I stop works inside? So I get one, but not the other. So what happens to me as a builder?
So you create. Yeah. I see the dependencies is the ones that.
It's insane. Like people don't understand the complexities of these dependencies and the amount of stop and start and stop and start and stop and start you got to do.
Yeah.
And now it's not only your labor cost, now it's your material holding cost because you procured all the material and you got to hold it somewhere, right? If it's timber, you can't just leave it lying down in wet weather.
Yeah.
You got to warehouse it somewhere. Then you got to transport it. Then if you transport it, you got to transport it back. Like these complexities keep going on and on and on and on, right?
Right.
Okay. So from my perspective, I'm saying we need to find a way to become more efficient to get from paper to spade in the ground. So I had a call with a company in Dubai yesterday, last night at about 9 o'clock, I was actually having a chat with him about the tech solution that we're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
They have a very unique problem. They want to get from, say, procuring a piece of land
Yeah.
to putting a spade in the ground in less than 4 weeks.
Okay.
Takes us 14 months.
What is their plan to?
I don't fully understand that. Like I was talking to them about a tech solution, so I don't fully understand the inner workings of the process of that particular company. But it's a vision.
It's a vision, yeah.
It's a vision, and I love that vision. Like, you know, I'm going, wow, there are people that think differently in this world. Here we going. We're protecting our risk, protecting our risk, protecting our risk. But what risk are we actually protecting? A leaky home scenario that happened once? Cool. What else? Right? The building code is so rigid. Do you know about the building code?
Yeah.
Building code is so rigid. It stops innovation.
Yeah, I've heard about this as well. So that's what the conundrum for me is. I've heard people say that exactly what you mentioned. Like there's so much restrictions, and then there's all these things that stops you from moving really quick. But then at the same time, it's like, oh, that's not enough. Like all these houses in New Zealand worth millions and millions of dollars. They fucking terribly designed. They're leaky. They're not whatever, you know.
Yeah, and then now they control the product supply as well. The products that could go.
That's another giant rabbit hole as well. Whoever. Like,
well, I had Minister Chris Penk on my podcast, and I actually challenged him on that. And I said, okay, now you've gone and looked at Australia and said, okay, now you can use all the products approved by Australia, and now we can use it. Okay, cool. What about all the other products? What about all the innovative solutions that are coming into play? No, they'll have to go through brands, and they'll have to go through a lengthy fucking approval process before they actually enter the market. And how long is that going to be?
Yeah.
Was that going to be another 5 years, 2 years? I don't know. You know. So what's the cost of the industry because of it? So I know I haven't directly answered your question, but I think I'm trying to articulate some of the challenges that the industry goes through, and which general public do not really care about. They just go, exactly what you said. So I was probably smiling. I said, $6,000 becomes $60,000, but it's not the builder causing the problem. Not all the time, at least, right?
Not all the time. The scenarios that I've seen, for example, is that, you know, let's say this foundation thing that happened, right? It wasn't, based on what I understand, it wasn't anything to do with paperwork.
It wasn't?
Time.
Okay.
It was to the fact that they had to do some kind of, what do they call that?
They need to assess the ground conditions?
Yes, that thing.
Okay.
So
that's a different problem we have in New Zealand. We have massive ground conditions problem.
Yes. So for example,
you do realize we're volcanic soil everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're volcanic soil everywhere, unstable earth everywhere.
Yes.
Right. So getting out of the ground on any project is the biggest single number one risk on any construction project in New Zealand. Any project. You know, that's why you need so many retaining walls, or you need additional piles, or you need to put in additional CFA piles to stabilize the earth. Like it's a big problem.
It's a big problem, but this is something that's
I wouldn't say unique to New Zealand. Like, you know, there are other countries in the world that deal with the same problem. Like probably Japan does. Yeah. You know, South America, probably there'll be regions that, you know,
deal with this. Yeah, of course. Depends on how much rain they get, the soil condition, everything. Yeah.
But then again, Dubai probably necessarily wouldn't deal with the same issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. So
not to the quantum of what we deal with it. Like.
Yeah. So but we know this, right? We know that New Zealand has it. So if you're in the construction business, you understand this, and therefore you know that if you're gonna create a foundation for a house, you perhaps are gonna need, especially given the place where it was, that you might need to study the ground to make sure that you get the right foundations.
Geotech risk.
Yes.
Geotechnical
Right?
risk.
So I think that's where it blew up, right? So for them, what happened was they didn't, like the builder came out like, oh yeah, this is how much it would cost to create a foundation here.
But
without
the geotech assessments.
Yeah, without the geotech assessment. So once that thing came through and they were going to start putting the foundation, they're like, oh shit, wait, no, we can't do it.
Yeah.
Then that's when the whole thing happens. Or now we need to do this. And then once that risk assessment was done, it's like, okay, actually now we have to put steel foundations now. So now we're no longer doing this. We're now doing this.
You mean they need to pile?
Yes. So they needed to like put steel foundations or something instead of...
They would have had to pile, then to put ground beams, then to build off it.
Yes, correct. Yeah. And the location was also quite inaccessible. Yeah. Therefore, they have to do a bunch of tricks to bring in the right...
Logistics.
So that's how the whole thing blew up.
Yeah, which is valid.
Right. But why wouldn't it... I'm looking at it from the perspective again of from my industry. When you bring it in and you're telling me I want an app, And I go, okay, cool. Do you want a native app or I want a native app on the Apple Store, native. Cool. I'm like, okay, cool. But you need to know that if you do a native app, you need to maintain it, for example. I need to give you the risk assessment that this will cost you more money down the line, right?
Yep.
Why that doesn't happen in New Zealand?
But I'm confident the builder would have tagged out of any geotechnical risks. They always do. He would have added a tag that says geotechnical risk. I'm tagging out of.
Okay,
not my responsibility.
Let's say that he didn't add that. So like
that'd be dodgy,
right? Yeah. So
I mean, most builders do. So if a builder knows what he's doing,
right? So what I want to get to,
he's adding that tag,
right? So what I want to get to is again accountability, because that's what happens with a lot of the projects I've been hearing about. Is that at the end of the day, the blames get passing through. This is like a construction industry thing. It's like you do this thing, and it's like, no, that's the electrician, and it's like, wait, but this, no, that's the builder. And then it start like, the Spider-Man meme is like this. It's like who's responsible for this?
Yeah,
and that's a huge thing. Like it's who gets there's no responsibility. There's nobody gets accountable except the customer who has to pay 10 times the price on this project, and potentially
now you know what big builders or developers feel like. It's exactly what they feel like, but in the millions of dollars.
Right.
It's a common occurrence in the industry.
It's a very common thing, and for developers, like you mentioned, I heard this as well. Is that because when it comes down to them, then like you said, they make one wrong decision, which then piles up. When it gets to the end of the project, their budget is already so stretched that then they need to start putting the dodgy materials. They don't care about the nicer finishing.
You can't get away with doing that, but yeah, it'll be difficult getting away with it.
Right? But I've heard some people that are in the buildings.
Ball it back, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Dial it right back to 10 years ago.
Right.
Okay. When we launched City RailLink.
Okay.
It's going to be $1 billion job. What's it costing us today?
Ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, 5.5 billion.
5.5.
Yep.
God damn.
That's at least what was reported in the papers, as far as I know. Right. Okay. So that's every project for you in New Zealand. Every project runs over time. Every project runs over budget. You know what an RFI is?
No.
It's called a request for information.
Okay.
So there's a paper war that happens between the constructor and the designer.
Okay.
Fucking happens all the time.
Okay.
You know what the average for RFIs in New Zealand is? They raise one RFI a working day.
Damn.
Do you know how much additional paperwork that creates?
I know that also, and that comes in
I'm talking commercial projects. Right? I'm not talking residential projects.
Yeah,
I've got more experience in commercial projects.
Commercial, yeah, okay.
Yeah, large scale, complex megastructures.
Yes.
One RFI a day is normal, and we accept it as an industry.
Wow.
That's where I'm waging my war against. Is I'm going, we can do better with better information, connected information, working collaboratively, not doing exactly the Spider-Man thing that you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that's why I wanted to circulate right back to that, because we started with that. We started with connecting this information that at the design stage to something that happens here and having that bridge.
Traceability and accountability all the way through.
Yes.
You have a 3D model.
Yeah.
Right? I want to get the industry to a point where the 3D model then becomes the centroid of construction.
Yeah.
From which an estimate is derived, from which your planning information is derived. From the planning information, you create a timeline. From the estimate, you derive a cost plan.
Yeah.
They're all interconnected information.
Yes.
They're not different, but you would have seen a little diamond drawing on my website?
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
It's the fundamental basis of how my company operates.
Do you reckon people understand that? It's...
Not fully, not necessarily.
Technically, but I try to grasp through it. But it seems like very complex. But
it's not really complex. All I'm doing is I'm taking a 3D model, connecting time, connecting cost, I'm connecting the people to it.
Yeah, no. I fundamentally that's what it is. But what I'm saying is for people to comprehend exactly what you mentioned before in terms of the complexity of all these things happening into a simple thing. That's hard for people to imagine. But here's the thing. There isn't a better time in history to make this happen.
No, AI is it's insane.
The amount, we had this problem before where it's like, okay, we have a bunch of data, right? But then the processing of that data was very expensive, and the understanding of that data. Right now, that bridge is like, it's right there.
Hey, I can code in Python today, believe me.
There you go. And if you don't know, guess what? There's an AI coder that can do that for you.
Because AI.
Exactly. So
Yeah, I'm living on either Cursor AI, Chat GPT, or DeepSeek, and I'm like transferring the code from one place to another. I'm like, explain this to me, break it down.
yeah,
for me.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's so simple.
Cross-reference and I use Perplexity as well.
Oh, Perplexity. Okay, I'll check it out.
Oh, bro, I give you a bunch. I have because from my line of work, we do a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
So Perplexity, Claude.
Oh, Claude. Yeah. Claude.
But the thing that we do now is, again, each one of these models have a specific strength. So what you do is you cross-reference each other. There's a program you can write where they will, there's a central point, and then they will check each other's sort of work to make sure that it's correct. Because cool. Sometimes they can hallucinate a little bit as well. So there's one of them.
Have you noticed? There's nothing ChatGPT can't do. It'll never tell you. Sorry, I cannot provide you that. Yeah. There's nothing it can't do. Right?
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. Sometimes it gives you. Sometimes it gives you the most random information just because it tries to solve the problem.
Yeah. It gives you bullshit, and I'm like, yeah. Nah.
Okay. But anyway, we talked about AI later down because I want to talk to you about that. But
cool.
Let's talk about because this has been very interesting, by the way. The future thinking. We started talking about this. How is it that New Zealand, in terms of infrastructure, mega projects, they are thinking as if they're not looking at the numbers in terms of how many people are coming into the country, and all these projects that they're making, you just mentioned one, are sort of, they thought out to be like this thing that will solve the solution. Not even solve it, but it will be like, oh, we're looking at the 5-year line or the 10-year line. Not like Japan, not like any of these big countries that they think of a 20-year solution, 50-year solution.
Well, here's the problem, right? Okay. Most construction projects go over 3 years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, governments change every 3 years.
Oh, I've heard your theory on this.
Right? I'm like, if a government changes every 3 years and a new government comes in
and then they kill that project
and it literally kills the industry. Like, people don't understand what it does to the industry.
Yeah.
And okay, people say there's massive brain drain in New Zealand. Half the people are fucked off to Australia. Why?
Yeah.
Because I don't have certainty of work here. If I don't have certainty of work, I'm going to fuck off to where I have certainty of work, right? Here's the problem, right? Okay, you look at New Zealand as a country, okay? What are the critical problems do we want to solve, okay? Do we want to get from Auckland to Wellington in 2 hours, okay? Is that going to boost the infrastructure?
Yeah.
If that's what we want to do we want to do that by rail? Do we want to do that by amazing fucking roads? How are we going to solve that problem?
Yeah.
Like bullet trains? Yeah. Japan's solving that problem. You mentioned Japan, right? Super fast trains, right? Instead, we spend a whole bunch of money coming up with what they called light rail, which would take 40 minutes from Auckland Central to the airport, where I could actually drive in 35 minutes. for that additional 10 minutes, I'd pay $50 in parking, no problem. I'd do it because I'm saving 10 minutes. That's very valuable to me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the problem we're trying to solve as a country? I don't think we're clear on the problem we're trying to solve. But we allow every single political party to come in and actually campaign on projects that they're going to do in their term, which will go beyond their term. That's the problem, right? Okay. We need to define what our vision is. I don't think we have one. I know they've set up the Infrastructure Commission, and the Infrastructure Commission's put out a whole bunch of projects on their website. I trolled through that for a couple of hours, and I'm just going, I haven't got anything from you guys. I'm no better than I was 2 hours ago. There's just a whole bunch of fucking data there. And I'm still going, where's the vision? Where's the vision? I'm not seeing the connected bits of information. Yeah, okay, we want to build a northern corridor. Right, okay, we want to build something else down south. We want to extend these motorways. Okay, there's bits and pieces of this going on. We want to ensure that our water network is a bit more resilient. Okay, cool. But have you ever got a clear vision from reading the newspaper, from any politician, any newspaper outlet out there? What's New Zealand infrastructure vision? I don't know. If you know, tell me. And
you're right. The vision is not clear, and if the vision is not clear, then what solution are we?
Yeah, we're just going to do shitty fucking projects here and there, aren't we?
Yeah,
like, okay, true. I mean, I'm not saying they're bad projects, right? They do help the local community. They're great. Okay, cool. That's fine. We're building a few roads here. We're extending our railway network there. We're like electrifying the network.
But again, goes back to what you're saying. Like, you end up spending more money down the line when the population is just like, and nobody's using this bloody thing because of this problem. It's, we should have solved that problem in the first place. But
here's the thing, right? So Japan's very clear on its vision, right? They're going, absolutely clear. They're saying, we're going to get people from point A to point B in the fastest possible time we can get them. And we're going to do that by rail.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 10-year vision. That's fine. So then all your projects revolve around that.
Yeah.
Enabling that to happen. Yeah. Like we spoke about ground conditions. You've got ground risk. Okay, let's figure out the corridor, fix all the ground risks, and then give these guys a clear corridor to build the railway network. See, that's a vision.
Yes, that's a vision right there.
Okay. So look at United Kingdom, right? You'll see circles within circles within circles. It's beautiful, right? So there's the M25, which is the inner circle, I think. I don't quote me on that, but there's if you actually look at the map and you see the road infrastructure circles within circles, that's actually connected with their train network, as well.
That's cool.
They're all interconnected, right? That all that does is enable people to move quicker, faster.
Yeah.
Right? In New Zealand, we have a massive fucking triangle. Like, huge triangle. No, look at the map.
Yeah,
Go have a look at the map.
I've seen it. It's funny.
Okay. And then you have a huge triangle that connects central Auckland all the way to Manukau.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have a huge circle that connects all the way from Albany down to central Auckland.
Yeah.
Like where's the interconnectivity?
Yeah.
Like, where do we see New Zealanders? What do we see them using in the next 10 years? 10 years from today, my primary mode of transport is going to be what?
Yes, yeah. That's the vision that you're talking about. You're 100% right. Yeah, because they want they want people off their cars and stuff, but they're like, okay, but what is the plan? How are you going to mobilize them? There's no plan.
And once we've established that plan, you just got to make sure that the next government doesn't come and say, no, scrap it, and we're going to do something else.
Like, that happens. You know what you should check out? In Colombia, we had this thing with the metro in Bogota. I don't know if you heard about this project.
No.
You should check it out. It will blow your fucking mind.
Oh, yeah?
Because it's exactly what you're talking about. They've been wanting to build a metro that connects the city. Bogota is one of the biggest cities in South America, right?
Oh, yeah.
We don't have a bloody metro. We basically created a quite smart solution with these buses called Transmilenio. It made the news and everything. But it's not really a solution. That already the population outgrown that service. But exactly what you were mentioning is this wave of governors that come in and they believe in the project. They spend millions of dollars figuring out how they're going to build it. And then the next one comes in and is like, no, that's not what we need. And this has been happening for more, since I can remember. So this is 20 years
Well, I mean,
or so.
the same thing is happening in New Zealand. How long have we been building a railway network to the airport?
Yeah, 100%.
How long?
Yeah.
How long? How many solutions? How much money wasted in paperwork? How much money wasted in consultants?
Yeah.
All of that, all of those plans put on hold.
Yes.
Or cancelled. I just want to spend a minute talking about the downstream effect of that, right?
Okay.
The downstream effect of that is insanity. Right? Okay, look at consultants like me. I need stable work, right? Okay, some large projects to go on, some stable work to then employ a workforce and then to focus on innovation so that I can keep cash flow going.
Very good point.
And when you don't have long-term projects in New Zealand that small consultants like me or just people working in the construction industry could actually rely on, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So there's RX, right? Have you heard of that project?
No.
It's a job in Wellington to Picton, the ferry, the upgrade, the $1 billion job got canned.
Yeah.
Okay. Light rail got canned. Like, you start, you stop, you start, you stop. You bring in consultants, you work on this. No, we're not doing this anymore. Park it, hold, move on. Next.
Yes.
You have no certainty. You have absolute zero certainty. So because of that, what happens to like me I'll tell you my personal experience. Because there are no long-term projects that I can work on, I'm there hunting for new work all the time. Yeah, I keep my workforce busy, keep them employed.
Yeah,
give them certainty so they want to stay with me.
Yeah,
whereas I have no certainty.
Yeah,
right. My cash flows whoops, up and down and up and down, and I'm going, how do I level out my cash flow, right? At least to a base level where I'm just not going boom. Like, when it's booming, it's fucking booming, right? Otherwise, it's a bang bust.
Right.
It's either or.
I see.
There's no in between in the construction industry.
Wow, I didn't know this.
There isn't an in between, right? So, over the COVID period, just after the COVID period, massive boom. Now interest rates went high. Nobody wants to build anything. Bang bust. Crashed. Right now, there's every consultant out there going, fuck, I don't have anything to do. Literally, start of this year has been so fucking bad. It's been ridiculous that there's no work out in the industry in the commercial sector.
Wow.
Right? So I'm going, right, what do I do? I mean, personally, I focus on innovation when I have nothing else to do, and hence the tech products and everything. Yeah. And you know, my company's motto: smarter, faster, better every day. So we're doing that.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. What about everybody else? Do you know what they do?
Go to Australia.
They fuck off to Australia. Well, they have more certainty.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, and then we sit here and bitch and moan about a fucking brain drain.
Yeah.
When as a country, we can't provide certainty to a workforce that's the backbone of this country, that actually boosts the economy, right? And we bitch and moan about people leaving Australia or to Europe or to everywhere else, right?
Right.
I don't blame them. Like, I've thought about it myself. Yeah. I said, why not? I wanna leave because I can't do this. This is really stressful. The boom and the bust and the boom and the bust.
Yeah.
You know? And hence that comes back to my original point. Where's New Zealand's vision? It's plain and simple. We don't fucking have one. Unless and until we fix the vision problem, all the other flow-on effects aren't going to get fixed, in my opinion. Again.
Very good point.
I honestly believe that.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think we're onto something there. And the whole thing about the government is, it's clear as water. It's like they just have their agenda in mind, and they don't, those projects those don't get finished.
Yeah, I challenged Minister Chris Penk on that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I full on challenged him on my podcast and that. And I said, mate, you can't keep doing this. And he kind of answered the question, but he kind of dodged it as well.
What did he say?
He said, we say, to fix it. He said, I understand the question, and to fix that very problem, we're setting up the Infrastructure Commission.
Oh, I see.
I'm like, okay, you set up the Infrastructure Commission, now what? What has the Infrastructure Commission done? But you've also shut down what they call the Construction Accords, right? The Construction Accords were set up by the previous government to actually fix a lot of these problems, and they did fuck all, right?
Oh, wait, what?
So I'm like, you're just setting up these bodies, and I'm like, okay, like where are we fixing the bigger problem? Where are we fixing? You say the 5-10 year problem. I say the 50-year problem.
Yeah.
I don't care about the 5-10 year problem, right? I care about a 50-year problem. I care about where New Zealand's going to be in 50 years, and what we decide is our primary mode of transport. What do we believe is going to be? Is it going to be flying cars? Let's fucking focus on flying cars, dude. Like, I don't care what it is, right? Let's establish what that is and build an infrastructure around what we believe is going to be the primary mode of transport. Yeah, what is it? Like, it could be railway networks, right? Let's not focus on light rail. Let's focus on fucking bullet speed trains.
Yeah.
Trains that travel at fucking 300 kilometers an hour safely. Transporting people really quickly, efficiently, safely from one point to another. No problem. Is it roads? Let's not focus on building 2-lane highways. Let's focus on building 6-lane highways.
Yeah.
Next 50 years. If cars is going to be our primary mode of transport.
No, I get your point, 100%. And one thing as well that happens here, which is quite crazy too, is that, we have this whole thing about the housing crisis and whatnot. And they're building complex of townhouses, Life Rates and Center, like just down the road from here. They put, I don't know, at least 500 of them.
Oh, yeah.
And it kind of blows my mind a little bit, that the fact that, okay, cool, you put in 500 houses. Okay, cool. But what's going to happen to the roads? Like, if you put this big amount of people in this one particular area, and then what's going to happen to this 1-lane road that connects you to the is the only way to go to the motorway? What's going to happen to that?
Yep.
And it's like
city planning.
Nothing happens. It's just that's the way it works. It's like, okay, there's a bunch of land here. Let's just check some houses there. Boom, cool, that's it. And then whoever's around that, they get fucked. Like the infrastructure around that.
Okay, so I'll boil it back to what I said earlier now, right?
What's the vision?
No, it's vision is a big problem. We fucking don't have one. That's a big problem. But if that's happening with all of the paperwork and consent process that we go through, the question then boils, why is it happening then, isn't it? Why are they granted resource consent to build 500 houses? You have a resource consent in place to deal with that very issue.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So this thing gets passed, and then, so why are they signing them?
I don't know, man. I know. I don't work for the council. I don't.
What? I didn't know this.
I don't know. So it's like okay, you build 500 houses. You need additional power. You need all the infrastructure to go with it, right? The unitary plans and all of that should actually cater to, and the city planning and the town planning and all of that should fucking cater to saying, we'll ensure that shouldn't happen.
Oh, good Lord. I didn't know this.
Building consent will give you consent to build the building itself.
Yeah.
The resource consent will give you consent for everything else. and should account for everything else, and should account for just not that, but also,
like
a whole bunch of other things.
Like I knew about of course, like the additional power, the additional water, all of that kind of stuff. But one thing that is just because I saw it as a repeated pattern was the road infrastructure, for example. There's a big project that happened in Fenuapai, for example, that they did a bunch of houses there, and then people bought them. And then after that, after living there for a bit, after they moved in, they just had to move out because the road to just go inside the motorway goes so jammed that people were taking 45 minutes just to go into the thing because it was so packed.
Yeah.
And then they started selling, like, we can't do it. And so I saw that. I saw what's happening over here. And in many other places. And you go, wait a minute.
So we have this lengthy paperwork process, right? So why does the paperwork process not account for all this? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I mean, I focus on actually building stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's my skill set. My skill set is, get a set of drawings and I'll tell you who does what, where, when, how much of it, and how you're going to build it quickly, efficiently, and I'll help you make good decisions to build it. I don't get involved in the process of decision making before it gets I try and stay away from it. But I've actually written a paper about it. I'll share the link with you. You should have a read about how much I think we can reduce the paperwork time to
create more efficiency. Right. Let me talk to you about that for a second, actually, about efficiency in terms of measurement, in terms of KPIs, in terms of methodologies, because of course in the construction industry, unlike my industry, there is this thing where we use a methodology called Agile. You are aware of it?
Agile,
Yeah. And in
Kaizen.
Yes.
There it is, Kaizen.
There it is. So, but in the construction industry, particularly, like you said, there's a bunch of dependencies, and therefore, the operative method is pretty much like a waterfall, pretty much, right? There's probably changes in between that you can implement an Agile framework, but for the most part, it's literally your logo, right? Strategic plan is like this, and this, right?
Agile.
Yeah. So, but I want to know about whether or not there are particular practices that you take from frameworks like Agile and implement it into your structures in order to do, to create more efficiencies. Because, for example, in our perspective, we use retrospectives, which is this thing that you do every 2 weeks to look at the week before and find anything that you can improve on.
So Agile systems are in place on site. Yeah. You can't really use them for strategy development.
Yeah.
But for implementation on site, they have their last planner boards and move fucking post-it notes around. I don't really care about that, but
right, I see.
Yeah, but let's back to basics. Okay, building an app is different from building a building.
Yeah,
there's one key thing to building a building really, really, really quickly, or building road, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
You move people and you move material around site quickly and efficiently. You build quicker.
Okay,
it's as simple as that. It's all about. It comes down to the efficiency of your logistics plan. It's not hard. Okay? But it's not complex. You move people quicker, you move material quicker.
Mm-hmm.
The quicker you can move both of those around your site, the quicker you build.
Right.
Okay. So if you have a hamstrung logistics plan, you're fucked. Think about everything else, right? Okay. You're defined by rules of gravity. I can't start from the top floor and build down, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've got to start from the ground up. Okay. Can't defy gravity. Cool. It may sound stupid, but just factor all of this in.
Yeah. Right? Has to be within the laws of physics.
The laws of physics, right? Okay. So if you know those are your constraints, work around your constraints to develop a strategy. That's what we focus on all the time. Is when we're setting up plans for, programs for a large scale megastructure to go up. First thing we look at is logistics. How quickly can I move people and can I move material around, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. So I know you want to get back to Agile, but Agile comes downstream for us. It doesn't come at the start.
But of course, what I'm saying is they're not necessarily Agile.
Agile's not going to fix it.
Yeah. Well, but what I'm saying is that do you look at any inefficiencies? Again, we're talking about this scenario where you're saying if you do this, then you're going to have more efficiency.
Yeah.
But even within that, is there no like a constant review of processes that will create that continuous improvement in that process?
Yes.
For example, I have this thing here that you mentioned, I think in a podcast, which is DFMA, right?
Yep,
Yes.
I remember
So
that one.
that,
Yep.
that was very interesting to me. So,
yeah.
so, for example, that whole concept of design for manufacture and assembly, you're talking about moving materials and all of that kind of stuff, and efficiency of putting them together
Yeah. So where you actually pre-build everything and bring it on
and
site.
bring it on site. Yeah.
There's a lot that you talk about, but then there's a lot of complexities that come with it as well.
Okay.
Okay. Think about you building a precast structure all the way up. Okay. So all I have to get is my tolerances for each one about 5 mil off, and I'm about 200 mils off when I reach the top.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Exponential.
it's always exponential.
Yeah.
Like I worked with this other company that said, okay, we're gonna build all our frames precast and then go to site and just assemble it. Like, cool. They came up with this amazing idea. They had a huge factory. They built all these frames, and then they figured out that the frames wouldn't fit through the door to get it out of the factory.
Oh, I've heard about this at some point. They build this giant structure. And
Yeah,
wait a minute, how are we gonna get it out the door?
Like, okay, they'll engineers, man, they'll overthink everything like me.
Yeah.
Fucking overthink everything. We'll think about how's it going to fit on a truck? How are we going to put it on a truck? But
Yeah, of course.
You kind of miss the simplest thing, So all of these complexities come into play when you think about, DFMA or kit of parts or whatever it is. Like some of the guys I've seen do it amazingly is adaptable structures.
Okay.
Have you heard of them?
Yes.
Yeah. You should visit their factory. I'll get you an introduction if you want.
Okay.
Go have a look at what they're doing. And these guys are amazing. It's like they take aluminum frames and you can assemble your own house in 6 hours.
Yeah. I've seen some of this stuff. Some of this innovation that's happening around that space is actually quite cool.
Yeah, and it's aluminum structure. And when I actually challenged him and I said, dude, why aluminum? Like aluminum's traditionally not used as a structural element in construction.
Yeah.
He said, you fly in an aluminum pressurized container from one country to another.
Very good point.
So why wouldn't you live in one? I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. Interesting, right? So
Interesting.
yeah, so there's innovation happening. There's agile coming into play, but it's not as simple as an app, right?
Yeah.
It's a tangible structure, and you have multiple dependencies that come off.
Yeah. That's what I mentioned initially. Of course, it's different, but I was just wondering
And
whether
there's
or not there
approvals
was.
on top of that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so when I'm designing an app, me as a client, I'll
It's
have to
very
approve
different.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, I approve it. You're good. Okay, who else needs to approve it? Apple needs to accept it into their store. Cool, that's it. Now I've got a council to deal with. I've got different stakeholders to deal with.
Yeah.
Now I've got an electrician that wants to put up a fucking cable tray somewhere where it's not meant to go in my original design. I want to put lighting up somewhere because the client wants it. Oh my fucking God. It's insane.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
The number of interdependencies, and
Yes.
just because you're doing something that has an impact on something else is crazy.
Yeah.
It's actually insane. Flow-on effects. And that's where Agile becomes really challenging, right? It's not like they haven't tried it. It's not like we don't try it on a regular basis. It's always tried. It's always gone, we need to be smarter, faster, better. That's where my motto comes from. Kaizen, researching Toyota and what they've done. And,
Yeah.
Is it possible to do it on every single job? Do you want every single house to look the same?
Depends.
On what?
Depends.
We could become like London row houses.
Yeah,
look like a fucking shitty
depends,
suburb.
It depends on the vision, right? Like what you said.
Exactly. Back to the vision.
Yeah,
right?
just go back to vision. Like, what do you want to do?
But then London solved the housing crisis by building fucking just row houses. They all look the same.
Yeah.
But they solved the housing crisis.
That's what I'm saying. That it depends. Right.
What's-
But you mentioned, how is it that there is not a lot of people doing what I'm doing? Right? Remember you said that? Bunch of people in the construction industry, but not necessarily a lot of people are moving on to what you are doing. So 2 questions.
Yep. Go.
First is why do you think that is? And the second is about having a competitive edge in today's world as an engineer, as an architect. What gives you that competitive edge?
I think what gives you the competitive edge is how you can enhance the use of AI. Right.
Okay.
I know people in the construction industry that still don't know what ChatGPT is. Mm-hmm. I'm not fucking with you, dude. I'm actually genuinely serious about this.
Yeah,
Right.
I believe you.
Okay. They go, oh, it's that AI thing everybody talks about. I'm like, dude, what rock have you been living under?
Yeah.
All right. So use AI. It's not fucking going away. It's gonna stay. Like you and I agree that it's
Yeah.
it's
100%.
not going anywhere, right? Okay. So how do you then enhance the use of that for your particular business? How can you incorporate that into systems, processes, make it smarter, faster, better,
Yeah.
right? Okay. As in, as an engineer, you can go take 100 different courses. It's not going to make you a better engineer, right?
Yes.
Every problem is unique. And even like, I've always said it, like university didn't really teach me engineering. What it taught me is to think like an engineer.
Yeah.
That's all it taught me. From that point in time, I had to apply all of the thought process like an engineer to solve real life problems on site or wherever, right? University is not going to teach me how to solve that problem specifically. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So courses aren't fucking going to help you. So adoption of technology, understanding good interconnected data and how that can be used downstream. I think that's the real value proposition for an engineer. And I don't think a lot of engineers are thinking about that today.
Yes, and that's why I wanted to ask you about that. That's almost what I thought you were going to say.
Oh, really?
Yes. Because, I mean, the same thing sort of applies in my industry, to be honest. And if you're not in the edge of it and every day you're using it in some way or another, you're already behind.
Yeah.
You know? That's essentially it. Like, believe it or not, every day everything changes. And if you're not right in the center of it, then you're way behind.
I've named my ChatGPT bot that I talk to every time.
Oh, of course, yeah, I do have one as well, which we're going to be talking to it very soon.
Okay.
So let's exchange tools, AI tools, because I use a lot of different ones. So
yeah, cool.
Let's talk about that after. If you can share any specific project that you've worked on that brought in a lot of different interesting challenges, in your opinion, and
there's a few.
yeah, and then if you can walk us through what was the thought process behind solving them and how do you solve those?
I could pick multiple different projects. Like,
take your pick.
I'll talk about AT Eastern Busway Alliance. Right?
Okay.
That's probably one of the best programs I've actually written. Don't know if you know anything about that job. That job's currently being built. It's an alliance project from it's a Tiraka Drive.
Okay.
Yeah. So along there, they're building Reeves Road Flyover, which is a huge bridge.
Oh, okay.
And then they're extending the lanes to add a bus lane on either side.
Okay.
And it comes with a lot of complexities because you actually can't shut down the road. You've got to take over sections of the road, build, switch traffic, come back to this side, build, switch traffic again. You know, so you build one section, the central section, then the other section. So you build in stages. So it's quite an interesting project. Like when we landed the contract to help out with the planning services, that's one of the projects that actually articulated for me the importance of data and well-structured information. We structured the information so well, right, that AI could read that information today and help you make decisions. Back then, we didn't have AI. This I'm talking about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, ChatGPT didn't exist back then, you know, when we did this. And today, if I had to take one of those programs and actually run it through AI and go, right, and quiz it with different questions, like run it through Notebook LM or Gemini or whatever, you know, and go, right, help me understand the sequence of this. Actually do it because of how well structured we had the information, you know, and it was interesting getting to that point. Like, I've always been a big man of like structured information is important. Structured information is important. Interconnected information is important. And it's all the more important now. And AI just enhances that for me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But
so,
let's talk about collection of that data. So you mentioned the collection of that information.
Yeah.
Was
So
crucial.
when I stepped in that job, I got given 30 different programs that 30 different project engineers and people that were working on that job.
Yeah.
Each one took a section and said, this is how we'd build a section.
Okay.
Everyone had their own methodology.
Of course.
30 different market research. I looked at it and I said, fuck that. Pin it. Create a folder called archive, PM programs, drag, drop. Okay? And the guy I was working with back then, he's a really good methodologist, like real clear thinker, like amazing methodologist. He's a project manager as well. And he said, what are you doing? I said, mate, we're going to fucking scrap all that. We're going to start from scratch. He says, what do you fucking mean? I spent 3 months on that shit. I said, no, we're going to start from scratch. He actually considered firing me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I said, you know what? Just give me 2 days. Work with me for 2 days. And if you still think we're not headed down the right path, fire me. Yeah. He gave me the 2 days. And we literally set up a real structured metadata coded program all the way Now you can cut, slice, dice that information any way you want. And that took us about 2 months to set up. Now, knowing what I know, I'd probably set it up in about 2 weeks.
Yeah. That's very cool.
It's insane.
And did you run a pilot before this, or this just you came out with this on the spot and you said, let's try it?
Base principles. So you go back to my diamond project modeling, the little diamond image that you can, set principles, right? There's a belief system in place.
Okay.
So what do I need to run a pilot for my belief system?
Okay.
It's my belief system. And if I can back myself on my belief system, I'm fucking going to implement it on an $800 million project. I don't care. I'll 100% back myself.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's just the confidence. It's just, it's sometimes stupid confidence, but you got to fucking go with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Because I'm not winging it, right? It stems from a belief system that's come from a lot of pain. A lot of shitty projects, a lot of just fucking arguments with engineers to contracts, project management companies, with designers, with subs on site. It's just contentious, emotionally driven. It's just fucking tensions running high all the time. Dial it back. Have you ever? I don't know. Do some research and you'll find out. Construction industry is the one industry that's got the most amount of divorces or the most amount of suicides in comparison to any other industry.
Yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah.
Why?
Tension.
Right, everything is fucking stressful. Everything needs to be done now. Where's the strategy? Why can't we work with a strategy to ensure that everybody knows who's doing what, where, when, how much of it? Clear communication, effective communication. Take the emotion out of it. Let's bring the data into play. So that's all I focus on, man.
Yeah. Alignment. That sounds to me like that's the key there. Alignment. Amazing, dude. Oh, man, we talked about so much cool stuff. What else? I have so much stuff here. You talked about.
You know what? I need to get me one of those iPads to do exactly what you do on my podcast.
I used to write a bunch of stuff. Now what you do is bullet points.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes I don't even have time enough to read this. So what I do is just bullet points, and then that will trigger a thought, and I just ask a question.
Did you get ChatGPT to research me online and come up with some questions?
I did initially, but what he came up with was a bit too
random,
too boring. So I was okay, I see, and I just came up with some other. So as I just listened to your podcast and just things that came to my mind, I just write down.
Yeah, nice.
I want to ask. I want to ask him about this. I want to ask him about this, and that's it. I usually wing it in the podcast. I usually have a couple of real things here, but the truth is, just like right now, whatever the fuck comes on. We talk about Hamilton. We talk about Hamilton. Doesn't really matter.
Oh, you want to talk about Hamilton? I'll happily talk about Hamilton.
No. I'm not that much of a fan of Formula One to be talking to a engineer that wanted to be a Formula One engineer about it.
Jean Pablo Montoya would be disappointed in you.
Bro, I love Juan Pablo Montoya.
Yeah.
His son now runs for races for Red Bull. I don't know if you know that. He runs for Red Bull in the Formula 3, I think.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
But you love Formula 1, you've seen that?
Yeah, man. Huge fan.
Okay, let's divert right here, right now.
Divert? Yeah, let's go.
Who do you think, what team do you think is going to have the competitive edge in this season?
Ferrari, for sure.
What do you think that? Well, they finished last year very strong, a little bit strong.
Mate, they didn't have Lewis Hamilton last year, did they?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, come on.
Let's wrap it up, mate.
Let's wrap it up. Well,
I think my team this season, I want Liam Lawson to do well. I know you disapprove.
Oh, no, no. I do want Liam Lawson to do well.
Red Bull.
I know, but still, it's Liam Lawson's a Kiwi, and he's worked hard to get there.
Yeah, I know. That's why.
If you look into his history,
yeah,
he's gone through a lot of struggles to get to where he is right now.
Yeah.
So, honest to God, whether he raced for Red Bull or not, he's got a seat in the top 20, dude.
Yeah, I know, man.
I don't care for which team.
I want
somebody from New Zealand that's got a seat in the top 20.
Yes.
Fucking hats off to them.
Yes, that's my thought process, but my wife disapproves because he's on Red Bull. But anyways,
I disapprove too. but you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And if he's top 20 drivers in the world, fuck
yeah. I mean, having a seat there is just insane.
Yeah.
My team, I gave you my predictions. Although again, I'm not a well-informed fan. So all my friends, engineers that they watch even podcasts about Formula One, forgive me about this. I'm shooting from the gut. I think McLaren is going to do really well this season.
I had a feeling you're going to say that.
Yeah, I think McLaren.
I really wish Lando well.
Lando's one of my favorite drivers.
He's a really cool character. Like,
I really like him.
Yeah, Lando's interesting.
For me, the drivers that I really am cheering on this season is Lando, Liam, and I want Lewis to win. Oscar, yeah. But I really want Lewis. I don't know why, but I just want Lewis to win that championship, and then so that he can just rubber stamp his legacy, and then
Lewis will win.
Okay, so this is your prediction.
100%.
Okay, so
why is that even a doubt? Lewis is an 8-time world champion.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Let me correct that. He's a 9-time world champion.
Okay. Let's see.
In my mind, he's already won the 2021 world
Oh,
championship.
right.
So it's his 9th world championship.
We talked about that just before.
Well, I mean, that was stolen from him. That's just fucking bullshit. Fuck the FIA.
Well,
so this year, Lewis will be a 9-time world champion.
Okay. Here we go. He's not.
Your wife will appreciate that.
He's not. Yeah. So who's gonna win the constructors and who's gonna win the drivers? So you say Hamilton is gonna win the drivers. What about the constructors?
Ferrari, Hamilton. Yep.
Okay.
Did you see that image that broke the internet? The 7 windows and that one door with Hamilton just there. Oh man.
Yeah. No, amazing. I think it's such a good move. And we talked about this just before as well, but the brand equity that he brought to Ferrari.
Oh, insane.
What a case study that is. Far out in terms of brand equity.
And I think part of his contract, he gets to be a brand ambassador for Ferrari moving forward as well.
100%. Yeah.
I think Mercedes really missed out on that opportunity,
Yeah.
You know, after 10 years of just molding Hamilton, working with him, Hamilton and them growing together, they've just missed out on a huge Toto fucked up.
Yes.
In my opinion. Toto completely fucked up.
What other drivers? I felt sorry for Carlos Sainz last season.
I think Carlos Sainz has options. I mean, I still think maybe Max might move to Aston Martin.
No.
Have you not heard about the deal?
No.
There's a $1 billion deal on the table. Apparently, that's the word on the street.
What?
So yeah, for 5 years, 5-year contract, $1 billion. And Max races for
Aston Martin. Wow, I didn't know this.
Yeah,
this is news to me. Wow,
there's fucking $1 billion on the table. I'd be tempted to leave.
Far out.
So I still think that might happen.
Really?
Yeah. So you know Lawrence Stroll plays a big part with Aston Martin.
Yeah. He's like
Lawrence Stroll's got unlimited money. And that's why his son Lance Stroll can race.
The reason why I doubt Max Verstappen is just he loves winning, man. I don't think he will be.
Well,
he loves money more, you reckon? Because he's not going to do well in Aston Martin.
Hang on, right. Okay, Adrian Newey's now in Aston Martin. Okay, so one of the best designers of a fucking Formula 1 race car is now gone to Aston Martin.
Okay.
Now you're going to give me $1 billion. Like, do I love winning?
But we haven't seen the impact that he's going to bring.
Maybe not, but it'll come, right? Okay. But think about it. $1 billion of winning. I don't know, man.
Bro, I don't know. I mean, fuck. I'm the type of person that...
This is not an M. This has got a fucking B.
A B, yeah, I know. But it's I don't know, man. It's sort of those things. Like, with football, the same thing happens. You know the Saudi League is paying. I don't know.
I don't know much
about football, but let's just give you a breakdown. The Saudis are paying preposterous amounts of money for professional football players to just go play them.
Yeah.
You know, famously Ronaldo moved there, but there's so many others. And they offer him something like that to Mbappe, who's one of the best players in the world right now. And he, of course, didn't take it. But it's one of those things like you mentioned, it's like, what was going through your mind? So it's like either you keep chasing greatness in these other clubs, that's going to be so much harder for you. Or you just set for life. But that's the decision right there.
Yeah.
And many footballers, like recently John Durant, for example, having a great season in Aston Villa, and then he decides to move to the Saudi League. And people are like, what the fuck is he doing? However, he's 25. He can go there, get his family set for life, and come back. That's what I think he should do.
That's exactly it, right? Okay.
But Verstappen...
Verstappen, 3-time world champion.
Yeah, but surely
he said, technically he's 4-time, but 3-time world champion. Oh, choose my words very carefully here. 3-time world champion Max Verstappen. He's already achieved world championship status multiple times.
Right.
Now you give him a B. What would he do? I don't know. Like I really don't know. Like it's never going to go away that he's a multiple time world champion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Does he want to be better than Lewis and Schumacher now?
I think so.
Well, or do you want $1 billion?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
Or do you want $1 billion and you can still you still get a chance to
Potentially
race one of
let's
Adrian
see.
Newey's cars and
Let's see what happens. I mean,
interesting, man. Watch the space. Watch the space.
watch
I think.
this space. Okay,
Yeah.
but that's your prediction.
I think he'll take the $1 billion.
You reckon?
I reckon he will.
Wow. Okay, let's see.
And having a chance to race for Aston Martin, and plus Audi's going to come into play pretty soon as well.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
So don't know. It's going to be an interesting mix, eh?
You talked a little bit about this, but long-term vision for strategic planning.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm a little bit in that conundrum space. Right now, I'm a service business.
Yeah.
Where we provide service to multiple different major construction companies. We help them create efficient programs of work, either tender plans, execution plans, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's a service we provide. Now, do I want to step out of a service and focus on being a Contech company?
Yeah.
But launching a Contech company in New Zealand has its own challenges, right? Completely different to the rest of the world. Like if I want to become a Contech company, then I have to move to America or I have to move to the UK or move to Dubai, right? That makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm in that road where I'm going, stick to being a service business, focus on being a Contech business because I'm somewhere in the middle right now. Which is quite an interesting time in my life right now. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
I need another 6 months to figure out exactly which road I'm going to take. It's dependent on a certain things happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, but whatever it is, I genuinely love what I do. Like controls and planning, automating all of that. Taking on like code to replace a lot of what my core functions are.
Yeah.
And fast track exactly what I do.
Increase productivity.
That's like just normal for me. It's just like it's edged into my head. It's a thought process that keeps running through my head all the time. Like I'm like jumping into like AI agents now.
Yes.
How AI agents can help the procurement process in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Right. That's another whole piece of work that we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all of this tech stuff that I absolutely love, but there's this construction side that I love on site as well. So it's like it's a bit of both, right? One way or another, we'll either be a completely service-oriented business that actually adopts technology, or we'll be a complete tech-focused company that supports the construction industry and kill the service side of the business. So it's one of the two. So either ways, tech's a big part of what we do it. That's not going away.
I was going to ask you something about. Oh, yeah, you did mention this. You mentioned about the construction industry and this industry that you're on having quite a toll on people's lives. And you mentioned before that, mentioned about alcoholism and just the mental aspect of it.
Yeah.
Walk us through, just briefly before we finish, about what you're doing right now to overcome all this quite emotional industry with a lot of stress and stakes.
Very simple. I breathe.
Yeah.
It's as soon as I wake up in the morning, I don't know if you knew this, you put your finger in your nose. You actually only breathe through one nostril. Do you know that?
No.
Put your finger there. Come on, try
Just
it. Blow it out. Air will only come out of one nostril.
All right.
Do you actually know that? That's how your body maintains its balance. They taught me that shit when I learned yoga in school. Right? And it switches every 8 hours apparently. So
Oh, I see.
So you can actually regulate your breathing, maintain calmness, composure. Somehow, I tend to feel more when I calm down and just focus on my breathing.
Yes.
Weird,
No, it's not. Yeah.
but it's cool.
Yes, I think I talked to this with somebody else, with a musician in the podcast, actually, precisely. We talked about the power of breathing for
It's incredible.
for this particular scenario that you're talking about. I do it all the time when stakes are high and people are like very emotional, and you could react in a particular way. If you simply do this, immediately things change.
100%. If I need energy, it's called block breathing.
Yeah.
4 in, 4 hold, 4 out.
Yeah.
So 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 4 seconds, right? If I want to go to sleep, 5, 6, 7. So I breathe in for 5 seconds, I hold for 6 seconds, I release for 7 seconds.
Yeah.
So therein I'm reducing my heart rate, lowering my heart rate, and
So
I
you
almost
can rest.
instantaneously fall asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So it's wake up in the morning, again 4, 4, 4, because I need a boost of energy, I need to get a sense of calmness, I need to focus, I need to become one with myself.
Yeah.
And then once I do that, I go brush my teeth, look at myself in the mirror, and I say, fuck, I'm the best human being on fucking planet Earth, and I'm ready for fucking war. Let's go.
That's the affirmation you need right there.
Every day, man. Every day. I'm
crazy.
like, when I'm brushing my teeth in the mirror, I look at myself, I'm like, I'm fucking ready for war. Let's go. Every day.
That tells you the construction industry right there.
Huh?
That's crazy. No, yeah, 100%. Power breathing is incredible. If you do...
And self-affirmation and,
okay.
you know,
Yeah.
all of that
all
put
of these
together.
things, yeah.
Yeah.
If you do the cold plunge, for example, I don't know if you ever done it, but
The what?
The cold
So
plunge.
The cold plunge? Yeah, I've been thinking about it, eh? Like,
One thing you realize when you do it, so I recommend you do it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I recommend you do
Yeah.
it. It's incredible. But one thing you realize, and then listen to this when you get on there, and the best thing you can do is breathe.
Breathe.
Focus on your breathing. Because most people, they will come in and of course your body immediately wants to get out. It's actually quite painful, especially at the beginning when you're doing it. But if you concentrate in breathing and you pretty much practice breathing a lot, so that helps you. It's a breeze after that. So once you start concentrating on your breathing, you get through a lot quicker.
Yeah, cool. No,
So
good piece of advice.
yeah,
Thank you.
try that. Contrast therapy as well. If you have the time.
Yeah.
Stressful day, try that. It's so good for you. If you do sports, you practice any sports?
I go to the gym every day. So
Okay, yeah. So if you, for example, for inflammations, if you go to the gym and you feel a little bit tight, cold plunge.
cold plunge. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. And I snowboard as much as I can, but
Snowboarding? Ah, nice.
it's limited to about 10 snow days a year. If I get 10 snow days a year, I count myself lucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to start doing it. My brother-in-law does it a lot, and I have some friends that do it a lot as well.
Man, it's an amazing sport.
Yeah,
Thinking about gaining momentum with a plank of wood strapped to you just by displacing body weight.
I know, but it's
That's
hard.
snowboarding for you.
But it's hard.
It's not hard.
It is harder than
you'll
you
be
think.
all right.
You land on your ass so many times, and especially for me because I have sinuses. Like whenever I'm in that sort of really cold environment, and my nose starts running, and it's fuck, it's just such a pain. But it sounds like it's definitely something that looks like it's a lot of fun.
Like I've boarded Chamonix, France, Whistler, Canada.
Oh shit, really? So you've done like trips outside on that?
I mean, I not as much as I want to.
All right.
I want to do more of that.
Yeah.
But again, there's a business to run this.
Yes.
All of that to factor in. But yeah, so a couple of countries I've been to. I've been to Canada, France, New Zealand, Queenstown, whatnot. But
Nice.
more to conquer. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, Andy, thanks so much for coming through, man. I'm going to do one last thing, which I do with everybody, which is called the soundboard. We have this thing. So I have this thing right here.
Cool.
And this is a bunch of questions.
Oh, cool.
So you just pick whatever, and then let's just go through a couple of questions.
What am I in for, mate?
So tap whatever you feel like.
If you had to stop doing what you are now and reinvent yourself, what would you do?
I'd completely become a race engineer in Formula One for Lewis Hamilton. That is an absolute fucking no-brainer.
All right, there you go. Okay, tap another one.
Oh, I got another one. There you go. Hey, these are interesting. Okay. Now, that's a food question. Let's stay away from that. That's a movie question. That's a brain question.
What's a habit or mindset shift that completely changed your life?
Ooh, that's a really interesting question. Talking to myself.
Talking to yourself.
Yeah. It might sound weird. I don't think I've said that before, but I reaffirm myself. I talk to myself quite a bit. I brainstorm with myself all the time, which is weird. Like, it's part of where me talking to myself from brushing my teeth comes from.
Right, I see.
In my head, I talk to myself a lot. I'm like, yep, okay. Because I'm an extrovert, right? I'm not an introvert. Most engineers are introverts.
Yeah.
Most planning professionals are introverts. Somehow I'm an extrovert. As I talk, I get ideas, but I can't always talk to other people all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what
I've got a lot going on.
So you have to like internalize it a little bit.
I can't internalize it either. I've got to let it out somewhere. So it's like, fuck. It's like,
that's why you have a podcast.
yeah, mate. 100% that's why I have a podcast. It's like, it's amazing what that podcast has done for me. It's incredible. Guys, if you haven't found the podcast, it's called Yarns with Andy. Go check it out.
Go check it out.
I'm using your platform to channel some people.
That's what this is for. Go and check it out. No, I find it really interesting.
Yeah. And it's incredible. Like the ideas I get when I just talk to myself. That's why I have a massive whiteboard and I just like start talk to myself and I start scribbling a whole bunch of shit that's just in here, just out there.
I see.
Fuck. It's like peace, quiet. Okay. Now I can see it. Now it's
Amazing. Amazing. Do you want to do another one?
Yeah, sure. That one.
What's a piece of advice you've received that stuck with you, and why?
Piece of advice you've received that stuck with you.
Yeah, okay. So I actually received a piece of advice about public speaking.
Okay.
I thought it's the fucking worst piece of advice I've ever received, and it's always stuck with me.
So it's the worst piece of advice, but it's like, what is it? What did they say?
They said, imagine all the people naked when you're actually talking.
Oh, I've heard this advice.
Yeah, it's the worst fucking piece of advice I've ever fucking received. Right, but it's always stuck with me. I can do anything but think about people naked. If I think about people naked, I have a different frame of mind, man.
It's
so fucked up. It's like, because I'm not thinking about the message I want to communicate. I'm thinking about something else. I'm like, I cannot think about people naked, man. That's stupid advice. It's the worst advice I've ever received.
I've heard
it's always
advice.
Stuck with me, though. It's stuck with me. I'm like, never ever do that. Don't ever fucking do that. Like, just focus on the message you want to communicate. Look them straight in the eye. All right? Be concise. Be clear. Be loud. Be proud. Right? That's the advice I'd give myself when I'm fucking going to give myself like a public speaking, right? Not think about the fucking naked. So I always tell myself, every time before I go for when I'm doing a presentation or whatever, do not ever think about them fucking naked. No, that's not what you fucking do.
That thing stuck to you hard. I've heard that as well, but I thought it was a joke. I don't know where I heard this, but I've heard that too.
Yeah?
Because I perform as a musician as well, and I think that's where it came from. Somebody told me that, but I think it was just a laugh. That was for a laugh. I was like, who's gonna?
Well, I mean, I actually got that advice given to me seriously.
Really?
Yeah. And
I wonder was the reasoning behind that.
I actually tried it, and I fucked up my speech.
I have to really get into the train of thought where that is productive.
Yeah.
Anyway, fuck. Let's do another one. You're killing these.
I don't know, mate. Play it. Okay, cool. Okay, let's do that.
If you had to choose one food to eat for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Chicken biryani.
Chicken biryani.
Oh man!
My colleagues at work would appreciate that answer. They love.
You know what? I make the best chicken biryani.
Oh, you're putting yourself in a spot though.
Mate, I'll tell you what. I make an amazing chicken biryani. Like, I don't cook a lot. Like, Paru, my wife, does a lot of that. Like, she gives me the space and time to do what I do, which is amazing, thanks to her. But I won't cook when it's just the four of us, like me, her, and the two kids.
Okay.
But if there's like group people coming, I make this amazing big pot of biryani. I start the previous night, ground all the spices from scratch, marinate the whole thing in Andy style. Like there's a specific.
It's a specific,
very specific thing.
And how do you learn this? Is you just perfected it by doing it over and over?
Nah, it's I watched a couple of YouTube videos, right? And I took bits and pieces from different YouTube videos, and then I trialed to get it to my style of how I like to do things. Like there's about 3 different YouTube videos that I take little bits from, put it together.
Yeah.
Now I tried just each one individually, then I said just perfected it Andy style.
I see.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I don't cook it, I bake it. So there's a difference.
All right. Well, fuck. I guess we'll have to try Andy's chicken biryani at some point.
When are you coming over for chicken biryani?
Yeah, fuck, I'm keen. It's one of my favorite dishes. We have this cultural lakpot at work.
Yeah.
And I would say more than 60% of our workforce probably is Indian.
Oh, yeah.
So whenever we have that whole thing, it's like there's a little South American dish and then and then the Indian section is huge and because they can't, bring the same thing, there's all this variation. But there's this one dude there that always is all about the chicken biryani, man. And they put yogurt in it. Oh man. So good.
Like, chicken biryani is amazing. Like
there you go. Again, for all of you who listen to this, thank you very much. Go and check out Andy's podcast. If you're an engineer, if you're in the construction business, so congratulations on that podcast.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, go and check it out. If you haven't, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Thank you for taking the time. Again, go and drink water and exercise. Exercise and peace. Thanks very much. That's so good.
welcome to the next level.
Thank you for watching this episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed the show, I'll leave you another episode here. And if you'd like to support us, visit themeldingmuse.com. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next one.